Yes. What? Wait, wait. Huh? Oh, hell no. So, what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Hope you enjoyed that intro. I was referencing to somebody who might have a 5S and is thinking about buying an iPhone SE now, but it has been discontinued, as I'm sure you all have heard the news. And this is rather sad news for those people who were like hoping out for another one-handed iPhone experience. So in today's video, really what I want to talk about is the 10 things that we're going to miss the most about the discontinued iPhone SE. Now, we cannot make a similar video like this for the discontinued 6S and 6S Plus or even the iPhone 10, because what's different about this case is this marks the end of a design era. They still sell the iPhone 7 and the 8, which have the basic same design as the iPhone 6S. But this marks the end of an Apple design era when you had the one-handed smartphone. And let's face it, when Apple kind of discontinues this basically means that there is no more market for a small smartphone, because most Android manufacturers follow the Apple devices, and not really many have followed the small phone market. Sony has a couple of phones, but they're not as small as the SE, and they don't sell super well in comparison. So when Apple drops this means that you're probably never going to see these small, powerful smartphones again, unless there's so much market pressure and consumer pressure that Apple goes ahead and comes out with a surprise announcement of an update to this phone. But I don't see that happening anytime soon, as they're really trying to, diversify that iPhone 10 lineup. So number one thing we will miss about the SE is its nearly perfect design. Now, a lot of people will say that, what are you talking about? Thick bezels, crammed screen, really tiny. We hear the concerns, but most of the time, the complaints about the SE were the size, and a lot of people I've seen comment on the channel have said in the past that, I would like to see an SE design in a bigger body, and that's because of some aspects, and I think one of them is going to be that super flush camera design. That was pretty nice here. You don't see that on the new iPhones. Glass inserts here along with aluminum, so you have the best of both worlds here with the SE. A little bit of glass here, a little bit of aluminum here on the device. You can see just how perfectly cut these little volume markers are. They fit perfectly right there. The silence switch is within a reachable distance, and the antenna lines are not on the back. They're kind of hidden right here. You don't really see that all that much. Very clean aesthetic up at the top, and on the left side you can see that there's a SIM card tray right there. At the bottom, just like all Apple products, precisionally cut holes, and you do have the headphone jack, which just looks perfectly placed right there on the SE. It's like, if you see the distance between the headphone jack at the top and the bottom, it's centered perfectly. So if you look at the front of the phone, it's definitely not probably the sexiest today. You probably would like to see an iPhone SE with all screen today, but for its time, it was very symmetrical, very practical, and very easy to use in one hand. So this phone right here, I think, has a nearly perfect design. I just wish that they would have took this design and put like an all screen down here and put a notch up at the top. If they wanted to keep the notch, do Face ID, I think this phone would have killed the XR in sales. So at number 2 is its pocketability. So what I mean by that is how easy it is to just throw this in a pocket, a bag, just a small bag, a purse if you're a woman. Like, these things are just so pocketable, and it's not like it's any phone. Okay, you can get a small flip phone, or you can get a smaller phone like an iPhone 7 that's easily pocketable as well, but it's not quite as light as the iPhone SE. This thing, you will almost forget sometimes it's in your pocket, and I'm sure SE users can attest to this, that sometimes they're feeling for their pockets like, where's my phone? Because it's so light they forget it's there. I've had that experience multiple times. If you've had that, comment that down below. But it's not just that it's a small phone, it's about the power that's in this phone as well. And that brings me on to number 3, which is having a powerful, compact Apple iPhone. And the iPhone 5S was powerful, but this phone took it to the next level when it comes to a small phone with power, and it's actually rather fast even today. I think that it's definitely not as fast as the new phones, which is disappointing. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people wanted to see an update to this, to see even more power in a smaller device. I mean, imagine an iPhone SE with a screen all the way to the top, a little notch with Face ID, and it had like, you know, Apple A12 Bionic chip, 3 gigabytes of RAM, that new camera from the XR. I mean, that would be a beast of a smartphone, wireless charging. Even if they wanted to throw a glass back, go for it. It would have been a really solid compact device. At number 4 is the one-handed experience with typing. It's been one of the easiest to type with one hand and one thumb here. They don't even have the feature to slide the keyboard over because Apple knows that it's not necessary on a screen this size. So that's number 4, the one-handed typing experience. And that brings me on to number 5, which coincides basically with number 4, and that's the one-handed experience. We're all gonna miss just the whole entire, you know, your thumb goes from here to here to here. You remember that commercial that Apple made years ago? We're gonna miss that because this is the one phone that you can have something else in your hand on the other side, hold this and have a confident grip on the sides with no slippery aluminum here, and do a task with one hand. I mean, this is not, you're not going to accomplish this as easy, even on an iPhone 7. That's why there's reachability on the iPhone 7. Now, some people can argue, I can easily one-hand an iPhone 7 Plus, a 7. Yes, you can, but nothing like this one. So at number 6 is one I don't think many were thinking I was going to bring here, but it's a less distracting phone. When you have a smartphone like the newer Galaxy Note 9, for example, I mean, look at the screen size of this device. It's massive. And the iPhone XS Max is coming to the channel. It's also massive. I mean, this phone, look at the size of this. This phone will dominate your life. The bigger screen phones, they will dominate your visual surroundings in your life. So what I mean by that is that you're going to be more distracted by everything you could do on that device, whereas the SE, you pull it out, you do a task, you put it in your pocket, you forget about it. This phone doesn't really distract you all that much because it's so small. And if you were looking at this a lot, there's a high likelihood your eyes are going to strain a little bit because the screen size. So I think it keeps that smartphone usage down versus a larger smartphone, which is something Apple put in iOS 12, which is the screen time mode to help you monitor that use. So Apple kind of contradicts himself by bringing a new feature of screen time to help you, you know, do all this, but then they announce a new phone that's much larger and much more distracting at the same time. So it's kind of like you just cancel that out, Apple, because you have a screen time feature, yet you release 2 new phones that are larger than ever. Even the iPhone XR larger than ever. That's going to distract people even more. That's just a little thing I've been thinking about with this new iPhone releases. So at number 7 is going to be the headphone jack. Now, some people don't agree with this one. Some people don't care about the headphone jack. They've bought AirPods. They have Bluetooth headphones. I get that if you don't really care. But I think that just to have the option to have it is better than not having it because, you know, there's phones like the LG G7 ThinQ or even other LG phones that have hi-fi quad DAC. Apple never even got to the point where they were putting hi-fi quad DACs in their smartphones. They had just mediocre, decent headphone jacks. But then to axe the feature altogether, you have 2 features to 1. So it's a process of removing features rather than gaining and your smartphone improving. And number 8 is the weight of the iPhone SE. These things are so light. I mean, I could balance it on one finger. They're just tiny. They weigh 113 grams. And one thing that many people might not have known, but every single iPhone that was launched at the September event is heavier than ever. So if you don't like a heavy phone, you do not want any of the newer iPhones. Even the iPhone X was rather heavy. It feels like a little brick in your hand. It does have an all-screen design, but it has that weight due to that stainless steel. Number 9, I would argue many people are going to miss that classic iPhone feel. I hear a lot of people saying, I got an SE and I feel like I'm on an iPhone again. You know, like, this is a classic iPhone, the iPhone 5. This design is only an evolution from the iPhone 4S. It just got a little bit bigger. So this device is classic, vintage Apple iPhone. So I think a lot of people will miss that as well. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, but it is one I want to throw in there for what we might miss about the SE is that classic vintage Apple design when a lot of people claim that Apple was at their best. And even though Apple continues to make massive profits, hits $1 trillion evaluation, they had to raise the prices of all their phones to achieve that. If they kept the iPhone X at like $799 or even like $699 last year, their profits actually probably would have decreased over the year past with the prior phones to the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and 10. So you have to raise the prices because the market is slowing. But coming with a vintage SE design with an all screen, I think would have been a huge gain for Apple. And at number 10 is having a true small phone with killer technology. I talked a little bit earlier about this, how Sony's the only one bringing a small phone now. They got the compact series of the XZ, but that phone is not super small in comparison to these. We're not going to have an option for those people who got small hands, or those people like, who just want to grab a phone and go out and, go bicycle riding or something, or go on a skateboard or go traveling, and they want something super light for their travels. A lot of people can argue, well, you have the ultimate companion now with these large devices. You have a pen, for example, with the Note 9. You have, a massive iPhone. It can be a perfect travel companion. It could do everything. You don't need to bring an iPad, all that. But at the same time, when somebody's wearing shorts, they don't want that thing weighing down their shorts, or, you know what I'm saying. These heavy phones, they get in the way sometimes. And to have a small killer technology smartphone is something I think we're all going to miss. This phone represents something that Apple has never done before when they did it, and that's bring the cheapest way to get into the iOS ecosystem, and also, a small phone with truly flagship specs. The iPhone 5S did at the time have truly flagship specs, but it wasn't, unnormal to have a smaller phone. That was kind of the norm back then. But when this came out, there was already big screen phones dominating the market, and Apple threw a curveball and did one more victory lap and got the iPhone SE out here. So I think that many people still would love to see an update to this. And if people don't, really message Apple and get on them, I don't think they're really going to bring this back. But I could be wrong. Do you think the iPhone SE is going to make a comeback, a surprise comeback later this year or in the March quarter of next year? Let us know down below. And was I on the money with these 10 things we will miss about this phone? If you have any things you will miss about this device, comment them down below. And if you found this video enjoyable, helpful, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click the like button for me. And one more thing before you go, the iPhone SE still can be found on third party, but it's kind of hard to find the specific color. I've already been looking. It's kind of hard to find a specific color capacity that you want. These things I think eventually are going to be rather hard to find unless they, remanufacture them. Be sure to be well. I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and peace.